So, welcome all the Sparkling Mindsians to the Poetic Soiree 2020. This is called a soiree because this used to be a evening filled with poetry, fun, and laughter for each one of us for the past few years. Because of the pandemic, we've chosen to do this virtually, we've chosen to do this online, and we are doing this in the morning. So, good morning and a beautiful poetic morning to each one of us. Um, right now, in this event, we have all the children from all the four houses: Griffin, Phoenix, Pegasus, and Sphinx. They are actually doing the recordings live on two separate links as we speak. And I'm addressing all of them on two devices. This is thanks to technology that we're able to do this. Um, I also would like to extend a warm welcome to each one of the parents who will be watching this event post the recording, and to everybody else who might be watching this event once it's published on YouTube. So welcome to all of you. This is Sparkling Minds' Poetic Morning 2020. This is an event that we celebrate as part of our Children's Day celebrations. It started out as being an experiential open day the first year when our children recreated some of the poems that were given to them. We still remember the theme of the year was the road less traveled, and the poem that children were actually working on was We Are Going on a Bear Hunt. And they reimagined the poem happening in other than grasslands, in the desert, undersea, and in different terrains, and they created beautiful poetry, beautiful songs, and beautiful actions. Since then, the tradition of children performing to poetry has sustained, and this is our fourth year now. Every year, more and more number of children get inspired by poetry, and they have been choosing to write their own poems too. So just like this year, you will see a lot of them attempting and writing their poems, and we are very, very happy and proud to present a lot of our children poets. You might be wondering, so what's so special about a virtual poetic soiree? Children will stand up and say their poems anyway. It's not going to be as much fun as the live event, right? Why bother? Why take all the time? Well, we discussed the why and the how, and we came up with a list that was beyond our imagination. We said it pulls us together as a community. It bonds the whole school. It lets us express ourselves and we creatively unfold. It brings out the leader in us. It brings out the emotions in us, brings out the empathy, and it makes us go deep. It makes us think wide, and it makes us make connections that we could not know could collide. And each one of these moments is what makes us us. It makes us sparkling experience. We said, since it was an online platform, since we were going to record the video anyway, why not try something unique? Why not try something different? Why not let each house line up and sequence their own poems? Why not let each house run their own shows, have their own Emcees, not one, but two? Why not let each house take charge of their own practice? Why not let them have document the whole process while they are at it? Why not let each house develop their own and strategy? You might think that this is new, this is novel. It's not. Our children are used to running the show on their own, and they're going to be doing it in the virtual world too. As children listen to each other, recite, scrub, receive feedback, and recite again, they learn to understand each other better. They learn to care about another. They develop grit. They develop determination. They learn to overcome stage fear. They learn to go ahead no matter what, online, offline, live, or not. No virus can stop us. So this year too, like every year, children are back to running the show for this event. Well, almost all of it. And this time round, we have students donning several roles ranging from a presenter, a house member, active listener, Emcees, 8 of them, and we have script writers, we have them as documentation in charges, we have student evaluators, we have empathy house leaders, we have practice leaders as part of the EPCC committee, and a lot more in the background. They've all held space for each other. They've shown up for extra time to do practice, especially in the online space. Some of them staying as late as 6 o'clock to actually work on the script, and I'm super proud of each one of their efforts. Looking forward to a fun evening, fun morning, not evening. All right. We also have way more number of children with their own poems this time on the stage, and we're very excited for the budding poets to recite away. I would like to bring on the screen all the MCs, backup MCs, as well as the Empathy House leaders, to hand over the baton to them. I'm adding them in. Okay, so I'm going to invite all the Griffin and the Pegasus first. All right, so welcome everybody. Maya is the Empathy House leader for Griffins. Maya, say hi. Mika is the Empathy House leader for Pegasus. Mika, say hi.
Hello.
All right. Then we have the MCs for Griffin, which is Archita and Sushant. They will be the host for the initial part of your journey on this link. Archita and Sushant can say hi.
Hi.
All right. We have the MCs for the Pegasus, which is Twisha and Sarvani. You both can say hi.
Hello.
They will be your host for the rest of the event. We have Maya and Krishna, who are the backup MCs for Griffin and Pegasus, respectively. You both can say hi. All right. Okay. Now, without much ado, here I hand over the baton to Sushant and Archita. Welcome, everybody. And we are going to start with the ground rules. Okay, so are you people ready? The order in which you're going to go? Okay, so we are going to do the ground rules on each of the houses. I'm going to mute myself now, handing over the baton to the Empathy House leaders, the MCs, all right, and you people can take over. So from now on, both the houses will be all the 4 houses will be having separate audio happening. Start.
Hi everyone. So our first ground rule is that all of you should stay on mute while if you're not presenting your poems.
And the second ground rule that we would like to reinforce is if your poem is not in the first 3 nor in the last 3, we would like you could go to the washroom and you could also drink water.
Our third ground rule is to remember to pay attention to all the poems being recited.
Our fourth ground rule is let us be patient and wait for our turn. We will not leave your poem out, so you don't need to ask when it is coming.
Our next ground rule is if the network is bad, stay calm, and when your turn comes, try logging in and logging out, and we will find a way to give you a chance. And also ensure that your network is as good as it can be and you don't let your stage fear affect you when you're called.
Our sixth ground rule is this is our Children's Day celebration, so let's have some fun.
Is everybody ready? So let's start our Griffins Poetic Soiree. Poetic Soiree online, very easy to hand out poems, right? Well, not in our case. Over the past 3 years, we have learned a lot about poetry. And now it has become a part of many of us. This year's Poetic Soiree has been filled with so much meaning for Griffins. Because this year, we each brought out our voice in our poems. We've done so in many ways. Some people were super inspired and have written their own amazing poems, while others chose poems that helped them express themselves.
And during our poetic soiree practice, we had gone about and asked the dolphins and leopards why they picked or wrote their poems and what they loved about it. Well, we have compiled all the reasons and we'll start this poetic soiree with a poem that has the voice of the Griffins. Welcome one.
Welcome all.
There you'll hear poems big and small,
Some funny, some mysterious,
some scary, some mischievous,
some filled with wonder.
some that bring out thunder.
Welcome one.
Welcome all. Today you'll hear poems that bring out us.
For these poems have our voices and have a calling for each and every one of us. So to start off our poetic journey, we have Tiana, who's going to be sharing a few secrets of life that she has learned with the poem she wrote called Life is Good.
Welcome on stage, Tiana.
Life is good, but not everything is good. Some things can be bad, like a spell. You know the secrets forever. Life takes time to learn the secret system. So you can learn the secrets too. Take anything you want from the secret cave. You can share it with your friends and family. And that's how life is good. Thank you.
Thank you, Tiana. That really helped me see how all I can see life is in a new perspective. Life really can be good. When is it good for you, Sushant?
Well, whenever I do my best, I feel very good.
Me too. After putting in effort, I feel like I'm on top of the world.
Well, speaking of which, now we have Tanya, whose poem talks about a very determined steam engine who, by putting in efforts, feel pretty amazing in the end.
The Song of the Engine by Tanya.
Welcome on stage, Tanya.
The Song of the Engine by Alexander Anderson. With snort and pant, the engine dragged its heavy load uphill and puffed these words, and while she puffed and labored with the will, I think I can, I think I can, I've got to reach the top. I'm sure I can, I will get there, I simply must not stop. At last the top was reached and passed, and how changed the song. The wheels joined in with the engine's joy as quickly she tore along. I knew I could do it, I knew I could win. Oh, rickety rock. And now for a rolling, rushing race on my smooth and shining track.
Thank you, Tanya. That was very sweet to show us how not to give up. And that was a really roaring, rushing performance. Sometimes I can get very excited too. And I usually knock things down when I do that.
Well, I'm just here to take over for Sushant for some time. Yes, I know, I can get really excited as well. But when I do that, my mom can get pretty mad, and that can be not the best thing.
Well, Ayush has a whole story connected to that. Here's Ayush with I'm standing in a corner.
I'm standing in the corner by Jack Krewski. I'm standing in the corner. My mom is mad at me. I'll bet that it's a bubble gum still stuck to the TV. Or maybe she remembers that I woke her up with my drum. Or could it be the orange in the aquarium? I wonder if she's angry that I took apart the phone. Or possibly because of which she found that ice cream cone. Or maybe it's those vegetables I hid beneath my bed. More likely it's a certain word I accidentally said. Perhaps I'm being punished For butter in a bug or for a tube of toothpaste I squeezed up on the rug. It's probably because I tied my brother to a tree. I'm standing in the corner. My mom is mad at me. Thank you.
Thank you, I. But I really cannot imagine you doing all these things. But I know my mom can get mad at me quite often.
Yes, and I also can get mad at my family, especially if they prank me.
And I'm pretty sure Adya knows all about that. It happens to her at least once a year.
Let's see why. Here's Adya with the poem, My Mother Gave Me Candy.
Welcome on stage, Adya.
My mother gave me candy by Jack Krylowski. My mother gave me candy. What did I earn? My sister gave me handkerchief. He made me itchy and cry. My father gave me boxing gloves, and when I touched them, and they blasted. Why ever does my birthday have to ever fall on April 1st?
Thank you, Adya. I know how it feels. Having your birthdays fall on April Fools can be pretty irritating.
But I really love birthdays. They can be so special. And especially blowing out candles and making a wish too.
What will you wish for?
Well, I always wish to be the king of kings.
A king?
Yes, but I don't think I could ever be one.
Don't give up, Sushant, or any of you who wants to become anything. Because here is Mishka, who has a story about a prince who was, others didn't believe that he could become king, but in the end, he found out a way he could become a king. You'll never be king by Mishka. And also, audience, you can also use your reactions too. Not all of you are using it yet.
You have the floor, Mishka.
You'll never be king by Shel Silverstein. You will never be king, said the queen to the prince. If you keep on misplacing your crown and you treat your scepter just like a baton and you walk through the halls upside down, he'll never be king, said the duke to the earl. For he plays with his toes on the throne, and he wiggles and jiggles and rolls in the mud, and he likes to walk alone. Oh, I shall be king, said the prince to himself, and my people shall all learn to sing and play in the sand and walk on their hands and have as much as fun as the king. Thank you.
Thank you. That was really great to see how kings can have fun. See, you can be king or whatever you want to be.
Well, that king definitely looked like he had a lot of fun.
Just like Advik, who had fun going to a dark house.
Can you really have fun going to a dark house, Achita?
Why don't we see? Here's Advik with the poem he wrote, Going to a Dark House.
I'm going to a dark house. I saw a skeleton. I ran and hit the wall and fainted. When I woke up, I saw a white ghost. I ran so fast in the woods to fear. Then I found a zombie. I ran again and hit my head in the wall. When I opened my eyes, I saw a skeleton Why ghost and zombie to attack me? I gave a punch, a hard punch. Ouch, my body hurt. When I opened my eyes, I saw I'm fallen from the bed. Oh no, is this a dream?
That was scary, Ayush. I was out of my skin until you said it was a dream.
Thank you, Advik. Whew. Thank God it was only a dream.
I could never survive such a place.
I get what you would mean. Out of goosebumps from top to bottom.
Oh, you know someone who could survive a place equally scary?
Who?
Princey, of course. And now she's here to share a story about the Dark Woods. Dark Woods by Princey.
Welcome, Princey.
The dark wood, boat unknown. The dark, dark wood. There was a dark, dark house. In that dark, dark house, there was a dark, dark room. In that dark, dark room, there was a dark, dark cupboard. In that dark, dark cupboard, there was a dark, dark shelf. In that dark, dark shelf, there was a dark, dark box. In that dark, dark box, there was a ghost.
Well, Princey, the way you said dark itself felt like I lost a heartbeat.
I know, I definitely jumped out of my skin after that one. Well, I really need something to calm me down.
You know, one way to get rid of that scared feeling is to just laugh at it.
Laugh at it?
Laugh at it, giggle, chortle, smile, maybe make a funny face.
Nah, I don't think I could. Well, we do know an expert at funny faces. So let's bring on Mika, who knows all the types of funny faces.
Welcome on stage, Mihika.
Funny Faces by James Carter. Can you do a big smile? Can you do a wink? Can you do a little nod? Can you do a blink? Can you shut your left eye? Can you shut your right? Can you wiggle both your ears? Can you take a bite? Can you wrinkle up your nose? Can you lick your chin? Can you puff your cheeks up? Can you do a grin? Can you pull a funny face? Can you roll your tongue? Can you do these one more time? Funny faces are fun.
Thank you, Mika. Ooh, I really needed the laugh.
Yes, I love that sound. It's the sound I wake up to.
Which sound do you all wake up to?
Imagine waking up to the sound of distant thunder. Why don't we have Zohar tell us all about it? Here's Zohar with the poem he wrote called About a Shout.
Zohar, can we have our video on, please, so I can spotlight you?
And audience, please use your reactions.
Zohar, can we have our videos on, please? Thank you.
Woohoo!
Welcome, Zohar. You have the stage.
About a Shout by Zohar Varghese. I woke up late one morning to a really strange sound. Sounded very different from my usual morning sound. The kitchen whispered good morning, and here's chocolate milk. It felt like this thunder that made me jump and wonder. I ran really scared to find my mom, my friend. Then I got to know that the thunder was from her.
Wow, Zohar, that thunder really gave me a rush through my spine. But I'm still glad you found out who made the thunder.
Yes, me too. I also love dancing to that beat. I really love the beat and rhythm. It's just so exhilarating. Well, again, speaking of rhythm, do you know that there's a certain type of poetry that's just centered around it?
Really?
Yes, why don't I give you a clue?
Okay.
You got trillions in your mind, but they haven't been designed. So now we bring a poetry, build it like a memory. It has a beat, it is a treat, it lets you tap, and it is a
Appa.
yes. And rapping is nothing but rhythm and poetry.
And perfectly, we have Pranav here to perform the dinosaur rap.
The Dinosaur Rap by John Foster. Come on, everybody, shake a claw. Let's hear your billow, let's hear a rock. Let's hear your thump and clap. Come on and join. Do the dinosaur rap. There's a young T-Rex who's over by your door, who's already stand a hole in the floor. There's just a little avatar. Educating everyone to the chorus. Come on, everybody, shake a claw. Let's hear your below, let's hear your rock. Let's hear your thump and clap. Come on and run. Do the dinosaur rap. That is Strigosaurus. He's spinning his spines, and then I include on making a thumbs up sign. That's it. Thank you.
Thank you, Pranav. I could see all the dinosaurs rapping beautifully in front of me because of your rap.
Well, I was a better rapper.
No, I was rapping with him and I was better.
No, I was a better rapper.
Obviously, I was. Stop doing that. Don't stick your tongue out.
Why not?
Haven't you heard the story of Stick Your Tongue Out, Sid?
Please stop this.
Can't say I have.
Can both of you please stop this?
Then let's call out Advait to share the story. Here's Stick Your Tongue Out, Sid by Advait Nair.
Tongue Out Sid by Shel Silverstein. Did you hear about Stick a Tongue Out Sid? He stuck his tongue out at all the kids. He stuck it out at recess and then at lunch he stuck it out again. School days he stuck it out at his teacher. Sundays he stuck it out at the preacher. Saturdays he stuck it out at a double feature. But one day he stuck it out at Helen McCarter. A girl who didn't like tongue stuck out at her. She grabbed that tongue, she pulled it hard, she rolled it about 20 yards and danced around and round and round and round and round. That tongue unwound around his head, around his chin, around his neck and back again. She wound it once, around his eyes, around his ears, she wound it twice, around his face, she wrapped it light, around his face, she wrapped it tight, around his back, around his seat, around his legs, around his feet, until he stood there all entwined, with no more tongue left to unwind. And now Stick a Tongue Out Sid really is a tongue-tied kid. Thank you.
Advait, I don't know how you can say that story again and again. It makes me very cringy. And that was really reckless.
And speaking of reckless, we have Sidhu and Aditi, who is here to share about a poem about a guy who who's just as reckless and silly. Well, here's I Knew a Guy by Ken Nesbitt, recited by
Aditi and Siddhartha.
I knew a guy by Ken Nesbitt. I knew a guy knew a guy who stuck his finger in his eye. Oh me, oh my, that silly guy. He stuck his finger in his eye. I asked him why. Oh, tell me why you stuck your finger in your eye. But all that guy would do was cry and cry and cry and cry and cry. So,
put your finger in a pie or in the sky or on your tie or on a toasted ham or rye or on a purple butterfly. But don't be like that silly guy who stuck his finger in his eye, or you will cry and cry and cry and then you might fall down and die. Goodbye.
Thank you, Siddhartha and Aditi. Well, that guy was a really silly guy.
You know, Sushant, I knew a guy who wrote a really awful poem and really irritated others with it.
Oh, who was it?
Let's bring out Shiv with I Wrote an Awful Poem to share the story.
Welcome on stage, Shiv.
I wrote an awful poem by Ken Nesbitt. I wrote an awful poem. It was bad in the extreme. I showed it to my sister. It made my sister scream. I gave it to my mother. She promptly flipped her lid. My father blew a gasket and my baby brother hid. I brought my poem with me to school today. My teacher nearly fainted and all my friends ran away. I never knew a poem could be such amazing fun, but that was such a blast. I think I'll write another one.
Thank you, Shiv. Wow, that is some poem.
I get irritated very easily for the past 2 weeks. And nowadays I've been really irritated because of my laptop. It keeps hanging and I can't concentrate in class.
You see, Advik too gets really irritated with technology, though he has a very different reason from you.
Why does he get irritated? I don't see it.
Let him tell you. Here's Advait with Wicked Web, a poem he wrote.
The Wicked Web by Advait. When I start coding in Python and look back, science is gone. When I schedule my work in JavaScript, I suddenly forgot my drama script. When I began to do CSS, I totally forgot I had recess. When two atoms split as a nuclei, it is nuclear fission. But mainly, I think the world is in a big confusion. I told a baby, stop sucking the tube. He said, do you mean YouTube? Before, the world is a whole physical universe or an ontological world. But now, I mainly think it's a technological world. Thank you.
Thank you, Advait. Not everybody hates technology now, do they?
We have Amar here with a very different perspective. Oh My Computer. It's a poem he wrote to show his vision. Oh My Computer by Amar.
Oh My Computer by Amar. That's me. Computer, computer. Oh my computer. I eat, I sleep, I dream, my computer. And then my mother comes and takes it away. Thanks to a parent workshop I wish she didn't take. Only if it was just like before, no routine, no consequence, just chill, chill, and chill. Oh, aha, where's my computer? Computer, computer. Oh, my computer. Thank you very much.
Well, Amar, I can agree with you most of the time. I also sleep, dream, and think about my computer.
Achita, see, I understand why Amma does it, but why do you?
Because I'm filled with questions and my computer is how I get my answers.
Well, did you know that Adya too has a very different way of getting answers, and I'm sure it will surprise you.
Oh yeah? Then let's hear it. Here's Adya Girish with the answers by Robert Clement. And
Welcome, Adya. Are you ready to do your poem?
When did the world begin, and how I asked a lamb, a goat, a cow, what is it? A cow, what is it all about, and why? I asked a hawk as he went by, where will this whole thing end, and when? I asked a duck, a goose, a hen, and I copied all the answers to a quack, a honk, an oink, and a moo.
but let me tell you that Adya's poem is about how she found answers to a question she had, and I really think that it's a clever way to find answers. You'll get to know what it is.
Me too, though I think I'll still look for something more than a quack, a honk, oink, or a moo.
But you don't have to agree that it was clever.
Yeah, true. But next up, we have someone who's just as clever as ever. This is Dia with Now I'm 6.
Welcome on stage, Dia.
When I was one, I had just begun. When I was two, I was hardly new. When I was three, I was hardly me. When I was four, not much more. When I was five, I was just alive. But now I'm six. So I'm clever as clever. So I think I'll be six forever and ever.
And also, Adya, I agree with you. I always wish I could be the same age ever and ever. But speaking of being six, I went on a really great adventure when I was six.
Well, do you mean the adventure where you met Ickle, Pickle, and Tickle?
Yes, that's the adventure I'm talking about.
Well, I'm sure everyone would love to hear about those fun and crazy people.
So here's Vyomika, who's going to introduce you to them. Ickle Me, Pickle Me, Tickle Me Too by Vyomika.
Ickle Me, Pickle Me, Tickle Me Too by Silverstein. Ickle Me, Pickle Me, Tickle Me Too went on a ride in a flying shoe. Hooray, what fun, it's time we flew, said Ickle Me, Pickle Me, Tickle Me Too. Ickle was captain and Pickle was crew, and Tickles a coffee and no leggings too. As higher and higher and higher they flew, Ickle Me, Pickle Me, Tickle Me Too. Ickle Me, Pickle Me, Tickle Me Too, over the sun and beyond the blue. Hold on, stay in, I hope we do, cried Ickle Me, Pickle Me, Tickle Me Too. Ickle Me, Pickle Me, Tickle Me Too never return to the world they knew, and nobody knows what's happened to dear Ickle Me, Pickle Me, Tickle Me Too. Thank you.
Thank you, Vyomika. Your poem made me jealous of Ickle, Pickle, and Tickle. When I went to the land of Ickle, Pickle, and Tickle, things get a little crazy.
How so?
Well, let's just say that everything can be quite controversial.
What do you mean?
I think Lakshita's poem sums it up. Now we have Lakshita with ladies and gentlemen, skinny and stout.
Ladies and gentlemen, Skinny and Star by poet Anonymous. Ladies and gentlemen, Skinny and Star, let me tell you a tale I know nothing about. The admission is free, so pay at the door. Now pull up a chair and sit on the floor. One fine day, in the middle of the night, two dead bodies got up to fight. Back to back, they faced each other, drew their swords, and shot each other. A blind man came to watch their play. A mute man came to shout hooray. A deaf policeman heard the noise and came to stop the two dead boys. He lived on the corner in the middle of the block, in a two-story house on a vacant lot. A man with no legs came walking by. He kicked the lawman in his thigh. He crashed through a wall without making a sound, into a dry creek bed and suddenly drowned. A long black horse came to cart him away, but he ran for his life and is still gone today. I watched from the corner of the big round table, the only eyewitness to the facts of my fable. But if you doubt my lies are true, just ask the blind man. He saw it too. Thank you.
Lakshita, sometimes because of your performance, I thought all these were true. Although, sometimes I just wanted to stop you and tell you the right thing.
Well, here's a person who will let you stop him. Or will he really? Well, here's Stop Me If You've Heard It Already, recited by Ashraf.
Stop Me If You've Heard It Already, by Dave Calder. Once upon a time, in a kingdom far away, there lived an old woman in a gingerbread cafe. She had 3 strapping sons, 2 ugly daughters who told lies, and a beautiful sad stepdaughter, who was a giant in disguise. Then one day a knight passed by, clanking off to sea with a kipper, and he dropped a golden frog that laid a talking slipper, which the youngest son then sold for a magic mashed potato. Then first ate his older brothers, then began to grow and grow. It put the young boy on his back and flew off across the fields. His sisters pedaled after it on their spinning wheels. They crossed a shoreless river, they climbed a glass beanstalk, and they caught that bad potato with their knife and fork. It turned into a princess, and so huge was their surprise that the beautiful sad stepdaughter grew 49 feet high, and the other sisters curtsing, for they were awful snobs, was squashed beneath her giant feet into 2 shapeless blobs. And when the old woman saw this on her TV, she sent a storm that very night that sank the night at sea. But the storm came roaring home again, and with a mighty cloud, it knocked the old woman upside down and inside out. It wrapped the giant in a cloud and drowned her in despair, which made the sun dissolve in tears and vanish in thin air. The poor potato-faced princess was crushed by this disaster. Then there was nobody left at all to live happily ever after. Thank you.
Well, that was a really great way to combine a lot of fairy tales into one, Ashraf. And although I heard a lot of them in your poem, even though I didn't get to stop you, I wanted to say you missed one of my favorites, and that's Peter Pan.
Why do you love Peter Pan so much?
Other than the fact that people never grow up, I really love the shadows in the story.
And just like Peter Pan's shadow, Neha has her very own shadow that goes in and out of her all the time.
So Neha's video is recorded and we are going to share it with you. 1 minute.
My Shadow by Robert Louis Stevenson. I have a little shadow that goes in and out with me, and what can be the use of him is more than I can see. He is very, very like me from the heels up to the head, and I see him jump before me when I jump onto my bed. The funniest thing about him is the way he likes to grow, and not at all like proper children, which is always very slow. For he sometimes sits up taller than India rubber balls, and he sometimes goes so little that there's none of him at all. He hasn't got a notion of how children ought to play, and can only make a fool of me in every sort of way. He stays so close beside me, he's a coward, you can see. I think shame to stick to Nursey as that shadow sticks to me. One morning, very early before the sun was up, I rose and found the shining dew on every buttercup. But my lazy little shadow, like an iron sleepy head, had stayed at home behind me and was fast asleep in bed.
Well, Neha, that was a really great performance that made me look at my shadow like my friend. But I do have a shadow that doesn't follow me.
Maybe it's angry with you. Though, wait, let's do a small check.
We were very wrong. My shadow does love me.
I guess me and Achita are clear, but let's hear of a person who has faced a dark shadow within herself and has used love to change that shadow.
Let's give it up to Trupti to recite a poem called Self by Langleaf.
Welcome on stage, Tripti.
Once when I was running from all that haunted me, to the dark I was succumbing to what hurt unbearably, searching for the one thing that would set my sad soul free. In time, I stumbled upon it, an inner calm and peace, and now I am beginning to see and to believe in who I am becoming and all I've yet to be. Thank you.
Wow, Trupti, that showed us a view of widening your horizon into self-love.
Yes, and now that we have also explored self-love, let's also explore the love that one has for his country.
This is Mrityunjay with a poem he wrote about India. His love Garland of Words to India.
Welcome on.
Garland of words to my India. Why do we attract our detractors too? We never attack, we defend. We never surrender, we sacrifice. We never think twice, we think twice. We never let go, we conserve. We never betray, we confront. We never pry on our ally. We always go by us and not I. We are not just a country, we are not just a name. Being an Indian is not an easy game. But we never give up, we play. We discover ourselves every day. We have never been mean and we don't need a back to lean. Yes, life in India is an obstacle course, but we have a capable force. We will use it for our nation and we believe we have the motivation. We are not just a country, we are not just a name. Being an Indian is not an easy game. Thank you.
Well, thank you, Mrityunjay.
Yes.
Back to Mrityunjay. Mrityunjay's poem was really a great eye-opener for me. I was able to see myself in his poem when I was a little too patriotic.
Yes, and there's so much to our culture too.
And here is Ashika to tell us a lot more about our culture and who we stand for with the poem that she wrote called This Is Me.
Welcome on stage, Ashika.
This is me by Ashika. Culture is not a game. Culture is not for fame. Culture is an identity. Culture is a responsibility. I was colonized. I was culturally colonized. I was influenced in my thinking. I was influenced in my beliefs. I did not know, I did not see. But when I did, I felt awful. But I felt thoughtful. Culture is not a game. Culture is not for fame. Culture is an identity. Culture is a responsibility.
I realized I was influenced. I realized it was what I buy, use, and see. I felt shocked. I felt stopped. Later, I saw my culture. I saw an identity of mine. I felt achieved. I felt believed. Culture is not a game. Culture is not for fame. Culture is an identity. Culture is a responsibility. I found the importance of my culture. I found the reason to know it. I found the true meaning. I found the other me. I know I need to know more. I know there's more to it. I know I will grow. I know I will show. Culture is not a game. Culture is not for fame. Culture is an identity. Culture is a responsibility. Thank you.
Thank you, Ashika. That really showed us how we are blinded because of our single stories. And we often choose to forget who we are and our culture because we are blindsided by our single stories that don't show us everything.
Well, Achita, surprisingly, I wrote a personal poem about single story that fits this conversation.
I would love to hear it. One Story, Many Cultures by Sushant. Sorry, The Story Resides Within Me by Sushant.
From usually to
Resides
me,
within me, written and recited by me. I've been so blind. I've been so naive. I've disowned my culture as it holds no place in the future. I live the stories I heard. I believed the stories I
were very
who
nice.
I was and the culture that I bred
Adya, can you please mute yourself?
by
Sushant,
the hatred and anger that I felt.
Sushant, can you please start again? There was some background noise and we weren't able to catch everything. Could you do that, please? Thank you.
The story resides within me, written and recited by me. I've been so blind. I've been so naive. I've disowned my culture as it holds no place in the future. I lived the stories I heard. I believed the stories I read. Who I was and the culture that I bred, stifled by the hatred and anger that I felt. Where I come from or what dress I wore just didn't matter anymore. I was so drawn to what was popular that every story that I heard around me was singular. Realization dawned upon, making me curious about the one who tells the stories, holding the key to how it is told and how it is bought or sold. The customs that I thought were senseless, the stories of my culture just worthless. Why do I see faults in my being? Why, to the influence and company of others, am I seeking? Stories that I am told, both new and old, have agendas untold. What to believe, what to hold. Till long I build the courage to say my story and show my perspective, it will go untold. It'll be sidelined in favor of what is being told. At first, unbelievable and impossible were the words etched in my mind, as I couldn't break the single story that had been programmed in my mind. Well, ever since I woke up to a multitude of stories, I have become open to my own culture. Though deep inside, I still feel empty, wondering about the lies I told myself in plenty. I have to learn to stand up. I have to learn to speak up. I have to learn to say my story. I have to learn to embrace my identity. So, who am I? And who are you? Of all the past that have been lived, of all the presents that we acknowledge, and of the future that we will through. Thank you.
Thank you, Sushant. That left me amazed of how we look at our country in our single stories. And I know the feeling of being trapped in a single story.
Yes, me too.
But next up, we have a poem that speaks about a person who has experienced a multitude of stories and continues to experience them.
Here's Maya with a poem she wrote called The Taxi Driver.
The Taxi Driver, written by Maya. I'm just a taxi driver through the day and night, riding with strangers in my backseat along the countryside. 1,000 years ago, I met a man with his guitar who played tunes so soft, telling me he was trying to find a path because he was lost. 100 years ago, I met a woman with gray hair, reminiscing her childhood, telling me how much she wished to go back if she could. I'm just a taxi driver through the day and night, riding with strangers in my backseat along the borderline. 50 years ago, I met a couple who argued and bickered all the while in the car about the biggest and smallest things, but left with a smile and a healed battle scar. 10 years ago, I met a father and his son, different in any and every way, both speaking foreign languages to each other, but there were evident I love yous laid. I'm just a taxi driver through the day and night, riding with strangers in my backseat along the seaside. A year ago, I met a young girl and her cat. She held it close and told me that she would protect it and that she should. I almost missed the part where she said, no one would understand me like you would. Yesterday, I met 4 friends, whispering how grateful they were for life and more. When I asked them why, well, they said because they started off as 4. I'm just a taxi driver. Nothing much, I know. But the stories I hold, each one beautiful, each untold. Thank you.
Wow, Maya. That really really left goosebumps on me.
Yes, and it helped me show how our world really does have some beautiful stories.
Yes, it does. But there is a fair share of unbalance with a variety of disappointing stories as well.
Well, that's where change making comes in, where we as change makers can always shift the story and make it one that can always be beautiful.
And Ida is here to share just how we can do that with a poem she wrote called My World.
Ida, can we please have your video on? Thank you.
My World by Idativari. When I close my eyes, I see dogs playing with cats. I see birds flying and their fear dying. I see peace and harmony all around. I see a new world crowned. When I open my eyes, I see dogs fighting cats. I see birds flying and their positivity dying. I see hustle, bustle, and pollution all around. I see a new world frown. Is this all my imagination or all the stress I have? Can this be fixed about a few 100 years back? Is this the truth of the world that was never said? Today's world needs change makers. Better than the eyes closed forever. Come, take my hand, let's walk together. Gentle and compassionate, let us care. Let's pledge we won't let the earth tear. Thank you.
Thank you, Ida. A lot of new places I thought where change making could come in.
Yes, and this also helped us see how we can move forward.
As mentioned before, this year's Poetic Soiree was really about us expressing our voice and mind. And we hope so you were able to get a taste of that today.
For all of these poems mean something to each and every one of us.
So,
thank you one. Thank you all.
We hope you enjoyed these poems.
Big or small.
For they were all done by choice.
Each poem brings out our voice. And to end our event today, we hand over the stage to the Pegasus, with Achita and Ashna reciting a poem who both wrote about the beauty of today, tomorrow, and every day to come. Here's nature through the eyes of nature itself.
Nature through the eyes of nature itself.
By Ashna and Archita.
Dawn is the time, like a prism of glass, when dew drips from the scented lemongrass.
When the rays of light pierce the grey sky, the day is new, bathing the world in golden and blue.
Early morning wakes with the call of a bird. Alone, it's calling, and it's a voice to be heard.
The waterfall reflects the sun's gold. The new warm months, the night's cold.
Time passes fast and soon it's bright. In late morning, trees yearn to reach the sun's height.
Cattle graces and horses run as leopards and tigers freely hunt.
The day grows late as noon descends. The night is forgotten, the heat immense.
The place is lit with the magic of moonlight. It is only rivaled with the soft shine of moonlight.
The evening sun casts long shadows on the ground. The beauty of beams that once was unbound.
The rays of the sun gave a final orange tinge to the skies and sank into the moon's space to soon rise.
Light fails as dusk approaches. Each animal knows their place, no one encroaches.
The sky turns blue, purple, and finally black. Stars all around, something our cities lack.
Midnight, when nocturnal animals take a stroll. When nature and the universe simply know their goals.
The moonbeam shines soft and glitter. Light and time seems to bend and glimmer.
This cycle never tarries, never ends. This is one way we can make amends.
We have disrupted nature's constant sway. Dawn starts the brand new day.